This is Think Tech Hawaii. Community matters here.
Welcome to Adventures in Small Business, a collaborative effort by the U.S. Small Business Administration, Hawaii District Office, the Hawaii Small Business Development Center, the Mink Center for Business and Leadership, and the Veterans Business Outreach Center of the Pacific, all stories to showcase local entrepreneurs and small business. Aloha, welcome to Ventures in Small Business. I'm Terry Funakoshi, Director at the Patsy T. Mink Center for Business and Leadership. We're the only SBA Women's Business Center here in the state of Hawaii, and we're located at the YWCA Oahu. Today, our episode is how to be an artist in business and finding your niche, how to stand out and stay financially solvent. The market is full of talented artists starting their own business, so it's crucial that aspiring art business owners find a way to stand out and again, stay financially solvent. Today, I'm speaking with Lari Sumie, Hawaii eco artist and filmmaker. Her company is Lari Sumie Studio. Lari is a Hawaii-born artist and filmmaker who investigates environmental tensions between humans and nature. Her background is interactive media, animation, journalism, and design uniquely informs her videos, drawing, and installations. So that's a lot of things. So I'm so happy to introduce Lari today. Welcome, Lari.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to have Lari here today, not only because she's an awesome artist, but I have to just pull this out. So this month, October, is Women in Small Business Month, and we just got a proclamation from the governor. So woohoo! So Lari is actually one of our women small business champions, and she's going to tell us more about it. But Lari, why don't you start by telling us, some of your background?
So I'm born and raised from Hawaii. I grew up in Mililani. I went to Mililani High School, and I went to school on the mainland at Bradley University for 4 years. I double majored in art and communications, and that's kind of what got me interested in graphic design. And so I worked in graphic design and web design in San Francisco for many years, and then I went back to school and studied filmmaking and digital art in New York. And then when I moved back to Hawaii, I accidentally started a business doing creative stuff. So yeah.
Wow, that's a lot of education.
Yes.
So again, what motivated you to actually get into the art business?
I actually didn't. Everyone says it's really hard to do and that people can't make a living doing this. It was really a passion that I had for native Hawaiian species. So I am really interested in learning more about our native plants and animals and the stories about them. And when I was living in New York, I had decided to do this calendar for my friends and family. And I just said, well, I want to learn more about plants and animals in Hawaii. I made this calendar for fun, just to give as Christmas gifts, and that kind of took off and people wanted to buy my calendars. So I started making calendars, and then people would see the calendars. They said, oh my gosh, your birds look good on cards or other things like tote bags. So I said, okay, I'll try to make a card or tote bag. And then I had a friend, introduce my work to somebody. My first client was the Bishop Museum shop. And that's how my business got started. It was sort of word of mouth, I guess, and people saying, I want to see your art on other things.
So you kind of did it on the side?
Yeah, I was freelancing and I was doing some other freelance work.
You still had a full-time job?
No, I was freelance. I've been freelancing, well, before this I was freelancing as a designer for maybe like the last 10 years.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And I have awesome questions to ask you about your business, but I'm so excited. I have to just say that Lari is coming out with a 2019 calendar, and she's actually dedicating it to MCBL to help women entrepreneurs because it's the metamorphosis. So I think we have a picture of the front cover that we can show you. But tell us about the new calendar.
So this year's calendar, the theme is metamorphosis. The idea is to really look at the ecosystems of Hawaii, because in the past I kind of picked birds or trees or flowers, and I wanted something that I could do all the different animals and also maybe do some Hawaiian insects. And so I was thinking how cool that when I looked at the pictures of all these animals and plants, that they change so much over the course of their lifetime. So, for example, the image that you just showed is a rare Kauai green sphinx moth that only lives in Kauai. It's super critically endangered. It's only been viewed 18 times.
Wow.
And I want more people to know these amazing things exist in Hawaii. And so I just love the idea that there's these animals that change over time, you know, like a butterfly or a parrotfish that changes color because it changes gender in its lifetime. So I thought these are such, you know, interesting stories about plants and animals and things that are here that I want people to know about.
That's great. And so when is the calendar coming up?
It's almost done. It's just about done. It's going to press this week, and I will be able to ship hopefully mid-October.
Great.
Toward the end of October.
We're going to help you with that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for, you know, dedicating it to the Patsy T. Mink Center and helping us.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to get back to asking you, you know, the whole artist niche. You know, can you tell us about, you know, why that's so important to stand out as an artist?
I feel like art is really expressing something really specific about yourself and the way you see the world and the things that you care about. And so the more you can express, you know, how specific and how unique you are, and the work that you do represents how you see that, I think it'll resonate with more people in terms of work that doesn't look like everybody else's work. And so because I'm just focused on native Hawaiian species and those stories, and I'm a storyteller, so it's not just I'm going to find a really pretty thing and paint it or draw it. It's like I want to know all I can about it. I talk to scientists. I go to the Bishop Museum a lot and work with the curators there, so I can really understand the story of these animals and plants. And, you know, scientists know they're super fascinating everywhere else in the world because they have such unique qualities that are unique because of Hawaii. And so that's something that I'm fascinated by, and I want to put that in the work and also be able to talk to it when I share my work with people.
Right. So, you know, having this niche in the eco world, you actually get to work with companies and museums, like you said. So how has that helped you in the business side?
I feel like because I kind of am an artist conservationist in a way, I am basically telling that same story and message about what we have in Hawaii that is so beautiful and rare and that needs protecting and needs people to care about it. And I want Keiki to care about it. I want people who are visiting to care about this, because we have, wherever we live in the world, things that we care about that are rare and unique to where we come from, and that makes that place unique and special. So I want people to make those connections of finding those things that are special to a place and then making it part of their lives. So that's why I make things like t-shirts and pillows and things that you can have in your home and that you can interact with nature every day.
So I know you have an upcoming project. I think we have an image of your logo that you created. Can you tell us about that?
So I'm working on an art exhibition for the Lancaster Museum of Art about the Hawaiian crow, which is one of the rarest birds in the world. There are only about 150 in total in the world. And so I'm working on that art piece that's going to be in January in California. And because the people with the Alala project were so incredibly helpful, I offered to design their logo for them because they needed a new logo for their project. And so they'll use it for their outreach, for stickers when they go to students in schools, to have a logo that really represents where the alala now is, because it was previously extinct in the wild. And so they recently, last fall, released 12 wild alala, and I got to see them, and it was amazing to just see these birds that you haven't heard them in the forest for, I don't know, 15 so years. And then to be in a forest and hear the sound of the birds singing and calling, it's just chicken skin, you know. And so I wanted to give back and give something to them for helping me make my own work so they can do their work.
Oh, so tell us, you know, that's very inspiring. And I know you said earlier when we were talking that inspires your product.
Yes.
Can you show us some of the product that you've done?
So these are some other calendars I've done. This is the my 2014 bird calendar, and from the bird calendar turned into like all sorts of other products. So I ended up making some t-shirts, I made some cards, and then now I'm making phone cases, and all of the artwork that all of the lines that I carry are originated from the calendars. So it sort of is like I'll create new work for the calendar, and that ends up being on products later. And it usually is somebody will say, I wish you would make a XYZ tote bag, t-shirt, and then I'll go and make it, and then people will buy it. So
yeah, I noticed, I was looking at this earlier. So you even use eco packaging?
Yes, because as you know, for example, I hope most people in Hawaii know that we have a plastic problem in our oceans, so I wanted to make packaging that had no plastic in it and make it biodegradable so it doesn't create more trash in the landfill. This is 100% recycled. This is also our, cotton. And yeah, I just wanted packaging to also be telling the same message about protecting our environment and sustaining our planet by not contributing to the waste that we already are producing. So in my little small way, I want to continue those kind of values through the packaging and the products that I make, so they align with my values in terms of the stories I want to tell.
It's really cute too.
Thank you.
I love it. It's one of my favorites.
Thank you.
So okay, I know there's so many things, but I wanted to ask you about that documentary that you worked on. It was so cute. Can you tell us about that? I think I have a picture of
Well,
that
it's
too.
still in progress. So I actually moved home to work on the documentary. That's actually what brought me back to Hawaii. So I've been working on it for 4 years. We're doing a crowdfunding campaign right now to raise money for it, but we already have distribution on PBS for national because we have some funding. And yeah, we are telling the story of this native Hawaiian bird called the palila that only lives in Hawaii on Mauna Kea. It's the only place it's ever lived in the world is on the Big Island in recent history. And there's this amazing story of how the bird went to court to save itself. So the case is known as Palila v. Hawaii, and the bird went to court. They brought a stuffed bird to court, and the bird sued the state of Hawaii to save itself. And that was almost 40 years ago, and the case is still going. And so, yeah, there's just been a lot of people trying to save this bird, and a lot of amazing story with this court case that I want to share.
And when is it going to be done?
I'm hoping it'll be done next year. If not, at the very latest, I hope 2020, because yeah, this is like the 4th year I've been working and researching and raising money, and just kind of, it takes a long time to make a feature-length documentary, but it's been really fun and amazing.
So that's the bird on the cover, right? The calendar.
This bird, yes, that's it.
Oh, he's going to be a popular.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah, I mean, how often do you have an animal suing to save itself?
Right.
Like, that's pretty unique.
So how can people help, to help you with that documentary?
Please contribute to our crowdfunding campaign, which is going on, I think, for the rest of the month. And we are trying to raise money, and also just to show people that this is not just a Hawaii story. Like, when we try to save things that make a place unique and special, this is a story that resonates in the rest of the United States and the world, because this case actually established habitat protection for all endangered species in the United States. So they teach this case in law school. Wow. That's how important this case is. So
that's great. So we've learned a lot about your business, your niche, being eco-friendly. So we're going to take a short break, 1 minute. But when we come back, I'm going to ask you the hard question about how to sustain your business.
Yes.
So we'll be right back in 1 minute. Thank you.
This is Think Tech Hawaii, raising public awareness.
I just walked by and I said, "What's happening, guys?" And they told me they were making music.
They said I could play, so any chance to play at all. That's my life. I love music.
Yeah, I saw it.
Aloha. I'm Marcia Joyner, inviting you to come visit with us on Cannabis Chronicles, a 10,000-year odyssey, where we explore and examine the plant that the Muse has given us. And stay with us as we explore all of the facets of this planet on Wednesdays at noon. Please join us. Aloha.
Aloha and welcome back. We're talking with Laurie. Okay, now here's the hard question. So, you have your art, people love it, you're passionate about, the birds and the eco and Hawaii. Now, how do you sustain a business model? Where do you go? What resources did you find?
Well, I read a lot of books because I'm kind of a nerd, so I just Googled and read lots of business books, and then I read business books about artists and being creative entrepreneurs. But when I needed more hands-on training, I heard about the Patsy Mink Center and was able to get some mentorship and training through some class there, and that has really helped me reframe and rethink how I do everything.
Oh, that's great. So
Yeah.
how did you find that resource?
I think I just Googled it. I was like looking for small business help in Hawaii, and then that's how I came across it. Yeah.
That's the answer for everything right now, yeah?
Yes,
Google.
yes, totally.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm glad you found the resource and you had the help you needed. So tell us more. After you took the course, what was your next steps?
So my next step was to, get someone to help me run the business, and basically, because I'd been doing everything myself, and being able to organize and get help. So I was able to hire an accountant and someone who's a business manager to manage the accounts for me, so I can just focus on making the work. But I did, for 2 years before that, I kind of had to test and figure out how to make a business doing this, because I'd never done this kind of business. So before, I had my own company doing creative design. So billing hours and service-based business. So I knew how to do like invoicing and that kind of thing, but the actual product-based business was totally new, and it's a completely different way of working. So that was just a huge learning curve of figuring out how do you price things, how do you sell retail, how do you sell online, how do you sell wholesale, how do you make line sheets. Line sheets and catalogs, like figuring out how to do SKU numbers, like, just things like that. I had no background in retail. Like, I never even worked, a mall job where I sold anything. So just the idea of SKUs, I'm like, what's a SKU? Like, how do I create SKUs? And, just all that really basic stuff that people who know how to do this, they're like, oh yeah, like this is how you do it. But I had to learn, and I just looked for books and internet resources to kind of figure out how to do that. And but it only gets you so far, so
Right.
that was good and bad. And I had a cousin's wife who had done some retail, and she was very helpful in telling me when you're selling to bigger shops and stores what their expectations are, how long it takes to get paid, dealing with capital, which I'm like, like capital? And just terms for selling, all that stuff she was really helpful in sharing how that works. But that being said, each place that I wholesale at, like, they do things a little differently, so it's not, there's like a standard system that everyone uses.
Well, it sounds good. Sounds like you had a good support system. I know for artists it's hard. You have to brand yourself. Can you give us some advice? I know like social media and...
I feel like the most challenging for the selling is that anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I have to sell myself. Because as an artist, you are your brand. That is why my company's name is my name, because as a professional artist, when you sign something, that is what you're selling, is you. You're selling part of your vision in you, so it's not like I can hide behind a logo and say, this company that I also have. So I feel like that authentic voice and being really consistent about how I'm messaging and expressing what I do, and being not so shy about sharing my story, which is funny because my job used to be telling other people how to market their businesses and how to do social media, but when I had to do it for myself, I'm like, oh, I feel so self-conscious talking about myself or trying to promote my work in that way. So I think it's getting over that hump of shyness, I think, putting myself out there.
And so on your website, is it like your portfolio? Or?
No, I have two separate websites. I have my artist website for galleries and museums, for curators who are interested in my work. And then I have a separate site for selling, that's just like to buy things, and also for wholesale retail people, because I also make just art that is installation. So I have an installation at the Bishop Museum, for example, and that's not something you would buy in a store. It's like a it's an artwork. So I do both, and I keep them separate just because the audience is totally different, right? So a curator at a museum or a gallery is not necessarily someone who wants to buy a t-shirt.
Right, so that's a good point, because as an artist, there's so many different ways to actually make revenue. So again, like you're saying, you have two sites because you want to do wholesale, retail, commission work, licensing. So what's your advice on that? How do you know if that's the route you should go as an artist?
I feel like you need to know who your audience is. So if your goal is, just to be a museum artist and, to be in these collections, like obviously you're not going to be selling at a gift shop. But the reason I ended up thinking, because before I was like, oh, I'm not going to do stationery and stuff. But then I was at the MoMA store in New York, and I noticed, okay, well, Picasso has a calendar selling at the MoMA, and he's also in a museum, so I can make a calendar of my art. I don't have to be dead first. So I'm just going to, make my calendar and put my art on products and not stress about it,
And I know you also did a pop-up.
Yeah.
And you did some trade shows. I think we have a picture of your Christmas.
Yeah, so I did a Christmas pop-up in J. Crew at Ala Moana last Christmas, and I was there for 3 different days, and it was just a really great experience to engage with a different audience and to also be in a mall setting, which I'd never done that before. It's very different, and everyone at the staff at J. Crew, they were so kind and really made me feel very welcome. So it was a good experience, and I would highly recommend other people to participate in things like artisan. I think it's called like it's their artisan program where they invite local artists into their shop.
And I know you have so many more products coming out, and I remember seeing your pillows. Those are really cute.
Yeah.
I think I need some for Christmas. So.
Yeah, so those kind of came about because I wanted something that people could have in their home that they could look at and use. And and they've been really popular. So the one cool person who ended up buying it was Maisie Hirono. She bought I think 4 of them. And every time somebody goes to her office in Washington, D.C., she put them on the wall. So everyone sends me pictures of my artwork in her office. So it's really cool.
That's great. Maisie Hirono is a big advocate for small business. So.
And she loves endangered Hawaiian birds apparently as well. So
there you go.
Yeah.
So, we have a few minutes left, and I want to wrap up by saying, what are some of the challenges that you can share with us, having your business in Hawaii?
Yeah.
That you can share to any artists out there that's thinking of doing their business?
So I really tried to make everything in Hawaii at the beginning because I thought I want to support other local businesses to make my products, but I basically realized it's really hard to do at the right price point. And I said, okay, I don't want to send products in China because I know what that production cycle is, and yes, it's the cheapest way, but it's not the most ecologically sustainable. So I make it a goal now to just make sure all my products are made in the United States. That's my criteria. And yeah, it's because of the cost of shipping everything into Hawaii, and then the cost of labor is high, it's so hard to make stuff here. That being said, I have made some of my products, my stationery and paper products here, but I think for the long haul, just for cost, I probably have to get everything made on the mainland, just because the cost is really important. If you don't hit the right price points, you won't sell anything, even if you have a really great product.
So your advice is, try to do as much local as possible, but cost is an
I feel like
issue.
cost is the #1 thing of whether people will buy what you make. If you make something brilliant that people want, it has to be priced right for the market and for your customer. Otherwise, you won't sell anything. And going from selling off my website to wholesale, that totally messed up my pricing because I had to learn about keystoning, and then I'm like, okay, I won't make any profit if I'm selling at this price point, and then how can I make it for less but still, have my eco credentials and run a business in Hawaii because, you're competing with companies that are selling things in Alabama where it's much, much cheaper to run a business. So once I kind of learned those things, I'm like, okay, well, I still want to be based here. I still want to make my work here. So how can I make sure the economics of that works and get the pricing to a point where I'm not breaking even, but making a decent profit, because there's definitely been other items I've sold where when I crunch the numbers, I'm like, I am making so little. My margins are so low that it's not worth making the product. But it took me a while to figure out what that process was, because you have a cool idea and you're like, I'm going to make this thing, it'll be great. And then you're like, wait, I'm not making that much on this. So maybe I should try to make something that for a time and effort, I'll actually earn a profit. So
I'm smiling because my background's retail and I hear you. But I have to commend you for such great product assortment.
Thank you.
Because you have something for your personal, you have for gifts,
Yeah.
for the home, and we forgot to mention that you also do educational
yes,
pieces.
so these are using my artwork of birds. I wanted kids to be able to learn the names of the birds, so I made Go Bird for an event at the Bishop Museum, and as just a test to see if people would like it, and just because you have to say, oh, do you have a pollo or whatever, and the kids really got it, and they really got into it, and it was a really cool project because I wanted to do something that was fun.
Yeah, they're so
educational.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
So we have so many different products that you did. That's great, and I know you have more. So can you tell people where to go to find your products?
Yes. So my website is lauriesumiestudio.com, and I sell at about 10 different stores also on the Big Island, Kauai, and Oahu. So if you don't like buying on a website, you can also buy some of my items at stores and there's a stockist site on the website if you prefer to shop in person. But our newest item are the phone cases, and I kind of wanted to do phone cases just because I haven't seen a lot of local art on cases, and I like the idea of having it with you all the time, and having your bird or your turtle, your honu.
I know these are so cute.
Yeah, with you.
So thank you so much,
Yeah.
Laurie, for joining us. And I just want to remind everybody that Laurie is a small business champion, and she's part of the Shop Small initiative to really help small businesses here in Hawaii. And if you go to the Shop Small website, you'll find champions just like Laurie, and we're going to be celebrating all month. It's a year-round celebration, so this month and next month.
Yeah.
We have our one big event at Honolulu Night Market on
fun.
November 24th.
Yeah.
So your calendar will be ready.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
we'll be able to sell everything.
Yeah,
So,
and thank you so much for having me. It's been really great to share my story and to kind of explain why I do so many different things, but all of the things that I do, whether it's documentary film or products, is to kind of tell the story of Hawaiian animals and plants and to get them in everyone's everyday lives, because some of these animals are so hard to see. I like the idea that they're part of your life in a way that you don't gotta go up a mountain and go look at the bird. Because it's hard. It takes 5 hours, and then you gotta wait to hope it shows up. So this is a much easier way to see these things.
yes, thank you for everything you do, Laurie.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Adventures in a Small Business, and we'll see you again next week.